Okay, so this is the pay test on the bottom, and the Mishnah talks about which girl's neder does not have a farah. Not possible to nullify it. And we have the Parsha talks about the father and the husband. Those are the ones who can nullify it. And it says there are girls that they cannot nullify. Now, all the cases are going to be that there's no husband. If there's a husband, he can nullify it. Erusa together with the father, and Nesua by himself. So all the cases we're going to talk about is that she's not married. So how is it possible not the father's not able to? Why is the father not able to be made for his daughter's neder? The Mishnah is going to say, in essence, it's going to say 3 cases, but it's going to make 9 cases out of it. But in essence, it's 3 cases. The first one is called the Yisoma. And the second case is called Mesaviha. And everybody's going to ask, what's the difference between the Yisoma and Mesaviha? What does the Yisoma mean if it doesn't mean father didn't die? And the third case is called the Bogeres. Bogeres means that she became, even though she's from an Ara, the father still has jurisdiction, but as a Bogeres, she doesn't have jurisdiction anymore. She's 12 and a half. So what is the difference between the Yisoma and Mesaviha? So there's something called the Yisoma B'chaya Aviha, that it's possible to be an orphan in the father's lifetime. Halachically, what does that mean? That means that she married. If she married, she's in a Suah. She married out. Either the father himself married her if she was a Ketana. And even though her father's alive, but he doesn't have jurisdiction anymore. And the Mishnah calls that a Yisoma. A little bit confusing. Why call it a Yisoma? Could have called it that she got married. That's what the Mishnah seems to call it. And later on we'll have, there's a concept called Yisoma B'chaya Aviha. That's a term that the Gemara is going to use, a brisa, which is the same thing as our Mishnah calls a Yisoma. So really, that's what the Mishnah is going to say. If it would be short and concise, it would say there are 3 naras that the father cannot have jurisdiction on her neder. One is if he married her off, the suin. Second is if he's died, he's not around anymore. And the third one is if she's a Bulgaris, that she's past the jurisdiction level because she's already 12 and a half. So mamish simple, mamish simple.
So we know that. I mean, okay.
And the Mishnah is going to make it complicated, and we don't know why. And it brings
that part out.
So we can go further, but it says here, I don't understand. It says here, and really, it's going to say 9 cases. Each case is going to be divided into 3 aspects of each case, and the Gemara the Gemara is going to say also that the Rabbanan don't say 9, they say 3. That goes back to the simplicity. And here's the Ran Vizani Rishalmi, or Vamina Rishalmi, Sha'af Rabbi Yehuda, La Mora Ela Lachadid Basa Talmidim. That Rabbi Yehuda only said it in a complicated way in order to sharpen the Talmidim. And I don't know how it sharpens. What?
And confused us.
And confused. I'm not sure if you're not Mechudad, so it's get confusing. So even after everything, I'm not going to know why. I don't know why it says it this way. And also the way that it does say it, besides saying the Chidushim, but some of them don't seem to be Chidushim, and how come in some cases you say this Chidush, not the other Chidush? So let's make the first category first. So the first one is going to be Yisoma. Yisoma, we said, doesn't mean what we call a Yisoma. It means that her father had married her off. Her father had married her off, and therefore she's not under the jurisdiction of the father. That's called the Yisoma. What we call later on a Yisoma B'chaya Aviha. That even though her father is living, she's an orphan in her father's lifetime. So here it goes. Teishan Oros L'Drein Kayama. That's the title. There are 9 girls that their neder is maintained, sustained, not because somebody affirmed it, because there was nobody that's able to nullify it. There's no husband. All these cases just give Akdama, there's no husband. If she got married, she got married. She's no husband. The first one is Bogeres V'Yisoma. Let's try to make periods as we go along. Bogeres V'Yisoma. Naro Bagra V'Yisoma. And the third one, Naro Shelo Bagra, which is throwing in that we don't care her status of maturity or her age. The Bogeres is going to be another reason why the father lost jurisdiction, which is going to be the third category. We said Bogeres, that's in the blue over there. So the Mishnah is saying that if she's a Yisoma, if she was married, if Yisoma means that she was married, so the father lost jurisdiction no matter what age she is. No difference if she's a Bogeres, or she was a Nara who became a Bogeres, or she's still a Nara. So it said 3 cases of just saying that there's no difference in all these cases. We don't care if she's a Bogeres or a Nara, or something called a Nara Ubogra. What does Nara Bagra mean? Does it mean that she was a Nara when she made the Neder, and then she was Bagra, or she was a Nara before she got married, and then she became Bagra after she was married? I don't know, but there was something in between in the stage of Bulgaris. You could talk about a Bulgaris, you could talk about a Nara Shabagra, you could talk about a Nara who's still a Nara. And the Mishnah is saying all these three cases, we don't care about the status of her age, maturity, because she was married. And the fact that she was married, what we call the Yisoma, that she was married, that's the reason why the father doesn't have jurisdiction, not because of her age. The age factor is not a factor. It doesn't have to have two factors in order to get out of this jurisdiction. This one factor alone, the fact that she was married, which we call Yisoma.
We call it Nasuim.
Yisoma means the Yisoma B'chaya Aviha, which means that she got married. This is another way. We would have said Nises. We would have called it Nises. That if instead of saying Yisoma, we would have said Nises. If she was married, she's not married anymore. If she's married now, then the husband is the one who's going to be in charge of the Nedarim. She's not going to be the direct Hayom. The husband could be Mayfair. So she's not married, but she was married, and then the husband divorced her or died. So the fact that she was married, she's out of the jurisdiction of the father. No difference if she's a Bulgaris, or she's a Nara, or Bogra, or she's still a Nara. Simple. I mean, it's simple, but Mishnah went out of its way very much to say that there's no difference.
Still Nara. Why doesn't the father take over?
Because she got married.
She's divorced.
But she was married. Once she's married, once she leaves, that's it. Once she gets married, this is the Suin. The father loses jurisdiction, even if she gets out of the marriage.
When a Kohen is a daughter of a Kohen, if her husband dies and she has no children, she goes back to her father.
No, it's not a comparison. It's not a comparison.
No, why not? We'll leave it. We'll leave it for another day.
Let's try to not be confused. The next case, I made the period in the wrong place. Let's erase that before. Okay. Just to correct that again. This was the third time he is on, and that's where the period goes after that. Okay, we finished the first. We finished the first three. The next case is going to be Mesa Bia. Her father died. Why does the father not have jurisdiction? Because he's not here. Doesn't make a difference how old she is. No, it doesn't make a difference how old she is. If she has no father, the father doesn't have jurisdiction. No matter if she's a Bulgaris, or she's a Nara Bulgaris, or she's a Nara Shalom Bagra. Just put the periods in again. Bulgaris Umesa Via number 1, Nara Bulgaris Umesa Via number 2, and Nara Shalom Bagra Umesa Via number 3. So in other words, it's saying that if she has no father, he doesn't have jurisdiction over her because he died, and we don't care, irrelevant if she has the other factor of being a Bulgaris. Even if she's not a Bulgaris, even though she was a Nara at the time of the Neder, and she died, and then she became a Bulgaris, and then the father died, or she's still a Nara. We don't care about all the fact of her being a Nara, even if this is the most extreme case, even if she's still a Nara. No difference if she was a Bulgaris when the father died, or she was Nara when she made the Neder, and she was Bog when the father died, or she's still a Nara for that matter. As long as the father died, he doesn't have jurisdiction, which seems to be mamish simple. The third case is going to really be telling us about the Bulgaris. This is going to say that the third factor, the third possibility, how she's not going to be under the jurisdiction of her father, is because she's a Bulgaris. And it's going to say three kinds of Bulgaris. The first one is going to be now it's going to say that we don't care if she's a Bulgaris. That's enough reason that he doesn't have jurisdiction, and you don't need the other factors. Which factors are going to talk about? Also, what's he going to talk about? If her father died, no difference if her father died or her father is living. It's not because the father died. That father died was the other category. Here we're going to say, and it doesn't bring in the issue about being married over here. You're right that even if she's not married, also the Mishnah doesn't say in each one there are three categories, right? One is that she was married, one is that her father died, and one is Bulgaris. It doesn't say in each category, even if it has the other two categories. That's not the setup of the Mishnah. The first two cases are telling you we don't care how old she was. That the first category about the father married, that she was married, That doesn't make a difference how old she was. Second category about Mesovia, we don't care. It doesn't make a difference how old she was. In the third category, it also has two of those things about saying we don't care how old she was. If it was means Bagra by definition means that she's a Bulgaris. That's what we're coming to say. We're coming to say in the third category that she's a Bulgaris. Look at the third one, the second and the third of the third. 3b and 3c. Bulgaris Valvia Kayam. That even if the father is living, the fact that she's a Bulgaris, that's what makes her out of the jurisdiction of the father, even if the father is alive. That's called a plain Bulgaris. The only thing going for her is that she's a Bulgaris. She was never married, and her father's living. Why is she out of the jurisdiction of the father? Because she's a Bulgaris. And the next case talks about Nara Bulgaris Valvia Kaim, also that the father is alive, and in her Bulgaris stage, there's no difference if she was a Bulgaris or she was a Nara Bulgaris, whatever that means. Nara Bulgaris means that she was maybe a Nara at the time of the Neder, and then she became a Bulgaris. Also, the father doesn't have jurisdiction. The first case, that the 3a, Nara Shemei Savia, Umishemei Savia Bagra, just to show the pattern of the Mishnah. Each time in the other two cases, it said 3. I wanted to tell you about this woman, this girl, having been married. We don't care about how old she was. You don't have to have the Bagra, even if she's not a Bagra, Narisha Bagra, still a Nara. We don't care. Also, the second case about Mesavia, we don't care how old she was, a Bagra, Narisha Bagra, even a Nara. The third case, obviously, you can't say Nara, means what we did in the other two cases. You can't say a Bulgaris and a Narisha Bagra and a Nara, because the case is Bulgaris. The category 3 is Bulgaris. So, but in the 2 out of those 3 cases, we talk about Bulgaris, we talk about a Narisha Bagra, Nara Bulgaris. In place of Nara, that she's still a Nara, we can't talk about that. But this does bring in the fact if it was the Mesovia part, Mesovia Vachkach Bagra, I don't see the difference if it would be Bagra Vachkach Mesovia. The point is to say that we don't care if the father's dead or alive, even if like it says in a second, Avia Kaim, even if the father's living. It does throw in another third case and say that the father died, and after he died, she became a Bulgaris. L'chora is opposite also. She would have come a Bulgaris first, and then the father would have died. Would have been the same thing. The Mishnah doesn't say all those cases, but altogether it gave us 9 cases. And again, the essence of these 3 cases is just that if the father married her off, if she was married, or if she was married, or if the father died, or Bulgaris. And in each one, it gives you some more information that L'chora would be pasha to us. And the Mishnah says it. And why does the Mishnah say it? So the Yerushalmi says in order to sharpen us. We'll see more in a second. We'll see one more line of the Mishnah. There's a question in the Gershon now. Do you say Adayin Hinara or Be'adayin Hinara? So the pshat that we'd like to learn is with a vav. And all the Kisvayad in the manuscripts, it all says Be'adayin Hinara, and that might be a simple pshat. In the first case, we talked about Yisoma. We said Yisoma means that she was married. Why is she called the Yisoma? She's a Yisoma b'chayaviyah, not because her father died. The father's alive, but she's a Yisoma because she's out of his jurisdiction because she married. So the Mishnah said 3 cases: a Bulgaris, or a Nara Shabagra, or a Nara. Is there any further chiddush? How about if she'd be younger than that? The Mishnah says 3 levels: a Bulgaris, a Nara Shabagra, and a Nara. There's something even less than that, a Ktana. How about a Ktana? What if she would have been a Ktana that the father married off? Is she out of his jurisdiction? So Avidah is coming to add that on. Avidah Omer, not only the 3 cases that you said, it's even a 4th case. There was 1A, 1B, 1C, there's even going to be 1D. That's what the Dagish is going to be on the word Ketana. Even if she's a Ketana and the father married her off, and then she got widowed or divorced, and she came back, and she's still a Nara, and the Mefarshim say, or a Ketana, we don't care. Even if she's still a Nara or Ketana, the Chiddush is a Ketana, they married her when she's a Ketana, she's still out of the jurisdiction of the father because she was married. There's other Gisos, there's Adayin, and that's going to say that okay, there might be different Gisos. We're on page Tes Amud Beis. So that's the Mishnah. And the point of the Mishnah seems to be very simple, but it's presented very complicated. The issue is when the father loses jurisdiction, if he marries a Ruach, if she's married, was married, even though she's not married anymore, if he died, and if she's a Bulgarian. The Yehuda seems to say that in the case where he married a Ruach, even if she was a Ketana, or still is a Ketana, also, once she's married, she's out of the jurisdiction of the father. I'm a Yehuda around. Zu divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Instead of saying 9, the Chachamim said there are 3, which Rabbi Yehuda agrees to. He also agrees that there are 3. He just enumerated the details and said Chedushim in each one, which maybe are simple. And the Chachamim say, don't talk about 9, talk about 3. Bulgaris, simple, which was number 3, but Yossi put it for number 1. Yisoma, which is a little complicated here, because in the Mishnah, in the beginning, the Mishnah, when it said Yisoma, it meant that she was married. That's what we said Yisoma is, because the Mishnah says Yisoma and Mesovia. So Yisoma means that not Mesovia. How do you have a Yisoma Shanat Mesovia? It means that she got married. But this Brisa uses the terminology different because it says Yisoma, and then it says Yisoma B'chai Yo'av. So what does that mean? See, Yisoma B'chai Yo'av is what the Mishnah called Yisoma, and what the Brisa called Yisoma, the Mishnah called Mesovia. So saying the same thing. It also made it complicated to change the terminology. I don't know why. And it comes back to the same thing that we said. There are 3 girls who go out of the jurisdiction of the father. One is a Bulgaris, one is if she was actually an orphan that the father died. And one is that she married. And if she married, she's called the Yisoma B'chayav. And there's no machlokus. Everyone says they're not arguing. David and Chacham are not arguing. He wanted to say it in 9, and they said it in 3. Abid agrees that there are 3. He does have Chedushim in each one about no matter if she's a Bulgaris or a Nara, Shabagra or a Nara, and all the other factors we don't care about. This factor alone is enough to make her out of jurisdiction. Any one of these 3 factors, and that's the halacha. And it seems to be simple. And it was presented as complicated, and we're not go on.
Pretty good.
I'm more confused than I'm saying.
So you're fooling us. It's a good action.
Okay.
Work.
The next Mishnah also is very, very interesting. The way what the Gemara is going to do, not to push on the Mishnah. The last couple of pages have been very mysterious. The way it presents something, the presentation is mysterious sometimes, and what the Gemara talks about, what the Gemara doesn't talk about. Here's the case. That's one case. That's the case. It's not going to say the psak yet. We'll see the psak at the end of the Mishnah. The second case is the opposite. That's case number 2. In both of these cases, the halacha is so what is she saying? She's talking to her husband, and she says, I'm making a neder that I'm not going to be able to be nehene, le'aba. So those words, nehene, yeah, either case. Yeah, either case. Either one case, either my father, your father, no difference. It could be both of them or either one of them. The question is, with the term, the whole Masechta has been a little confusing when you say such words. I'm not going to be nana to your father. We would never say such words. I'm not going to be nana to your father. We would have said, I'm not going to be mahana your father, or we're not going to be nana from your father. Does this mean that I'm not going to benefit from them? Or it means I'm not going to give them benefit? What is translation of these words? It seems to be machlokus in the Mefarshim when it says such a kind of a term. So I don't know if it makes a difference for us, but let's take one shot that I'm not going to benefit from your father if I work for you. If I give you benefit, she says to her husband, as if to say, it's either you are or the parent. If I do for you, I ask her benefit from my father. Again, it says a Isser and then the Tanai. If I'm going to do something to your mouth, if I'm going to give you benefit, if I'm going to give you supper, I'm answering myself to benefit from my father. Or if you want, I'm answering myself that my father should not benefit from me. My father, your father. So that's the case. Does he have that? The simple pshat in the mission would be, does he have the right to be Mefer? Is it considered the Vorm Shabbeino Levena? What is it called? Inu Nefesh? Can we talk about it ourselves before we see? what if she made such a neder? Does the husband have the right to be mefer? If I do something for you, now of course she has to do for him. If she doesn't do for him, surely it's going to affect him. She might not even have a right to do that. Let's say it's talking about things that she's not obligated for. So she has a right to do it. That surely affects him. And then she says, but I didn't say I'm not going to benefit to you. I said, if I benefit to you, then I'm answering my hana. Either my hana to benefit from my father, my hana to give to my father. Is that a reason why you should be mefer? The husband might say, do for me. And you won't be able to benefit from your father, or your father won't be able to benefit from you. Is that called a neder that the husband has a right to be mefer? Anybody have an opinion?
Not. It's not and it's not
Because who told you to hold, because you want to do for your father or from your father, so therefore you're not going to benefit me? That you didn't say that you're not going to. You just said if she benefits to the husband, so then she's going to become usher in something else. Okay, so the husband would say, so work for me, and all the ramifications of your neder will take place. You might say that. So Avnishan is saying it's not Areza Lo, because it's not in nefesh, it's not Ram Shabbeinu Olavina. Or the opposite case, She'eni Nen Isloch, in most Ani Al Pi Abba Al Pi Adi. Here's the opposite case, that the Tanai was, if she works for the father, if she's going to give something to the father, her father, his father, so then she's not going to be able to give benefit to the husband or from the husband. So here, the husband is going to become Masa, but only if she does that condition of doing something for the father. So once again, Avnishan would say, so don't do for your father, don't do for my father, and then there will be no problem between us. You might say that in these two cases, if one, either the Isser or the Tanai don't affect the husband, so he shouldn't have a right to be maker, because it's not definitely going to become Masa to the husband.
She might be overvoted, she'll forget.
I was kind of saying that she might by mistake, she might have benefited to the father or done for the father, so maybe that will be that's one possibility. That maybe she'll make a mistake, and then the husband will be affected.
There'll be a lot of aggravation.
We had it in the beginning of the parak over there. It said that it's only considered inu nefesh if both the Tanai and the Isser, both of them are considered inu nefesh. But it didn't say as far over there that maybe she'll make a mistake. It's a nice far. Maybe she'll make a mistake. The Ran says over here that these things are different, and it is. The Mishnah says it is yafim. That has to be explained. Nissan said, why is it yafim? It's not affecting him. Don't do the Tanai, or become Masa, to the things that don't affect me. So here he says that it's Tulsa Ana B'Dava She'asuya Laver Allah. It's probable that she's going to work for the father. It's not probable that she's going to be able to hold back from doing something for her father, for his father. So even though, as a rule, we said in the beginning of the parak that it's only considered inu nefesh if both the Tanai and the Isser are inu nefesh, but if one of them is not, so it's not going to be inu nefesh. By these cases, since it's something which is usual that she is going to happen, she is going to give benefit to the father, so then it is considered inu nefesh and I raise a yofer. So that's why the Mishnah says, yes, the yes could be mefer. Yes, Chaim David.
What's the Tulsa? What is the word? Tulsa.
Also, she was told she depended. She depended her thing. The Tanai was something which is probable that she's going to transgress. That she's not going to be able to hold back from doing something for her father. It happens. How long does it take?
I had in mind that she would.
So I said that the Ran says it's not go over here because it's something. It's not stam. Similar to what you said, but not exactly. Not because it might happen. It's also a nice possibility. But the parak said in the beginning, we don't say that. We say that if there's a Tanai and it's only considered inu nefesh. Both of them inu nefesh. And you don't say that we're scared something's going to happen. But the Ran says over here we are scared because it's probable that this particular Tanai that she said about benefiting the father is something that probably she is going to do. It's hard to hold back, not right. So therefore, it is considered inu nefesh, and if the Tanai or the Isser concerns the husband, he could be mefer.
Where did we get the idea that they both? It has to be inu nefesh to both husband and wife.
No, the inu nefesh is only for the wife. Inu nefesh is the husband. There's something else called Ram Shabbeinu Olavina. Those are the two categories that he has a right to be mefer. Lanos nefesh, if she does something which is self-inflicting to her, and Dvarim shebeino lebeino, beinish leishto, beinav lebito, there's not a possible given over there that something which infects him is also a right to be made.
I thought it was one or.
That's what we say. That's what I said.
I think he said both. It means both.
No, we're talking about a Tanai and the Isser. We're not talking about him and her. We're talking about there's a Tanai and an Isser. So if he made a Tanai, she made a Tanai that the Tanai is not Inu Nefesh, but the Isser is Inu Nefesh, or the Tanai was Inu Nefesh, even though the Isser is not Inu Nefesh. If you have only one of the two, so in general we say that it's mutter because the Inu Nefesh is not going to happen. Don't do the Tanai, and you won't be the Isser. Or do the Tanai, which is not Inu. The Isser will. It's not necessary to come to the Inu Nefesh, but here it's probable that is going to happen. So therefore, it's considered Inu Nefesh or Dvarim shebeino lebeino, and therefore he has the right to be Mefer. The Gemara is going to see much more than Mishnah than we just saw. We just saw a question if it's considered Inu Nefesh or not. And here, here goes the Gemara. The Gemara is going to see more. There's still a Bryce. The Bryce also won't sound much different. It's just going to make a machlokus out of it. Our Mishnah says Ereza Yofer, and the Bryce is going to be a machlokus about it. Tanya, she'eni nenes la'aba ula avicha im ani osa lapicha, which was the second case of our Mishnah. That is that the case? Is that true? Im ani osa. No, this is the first case. That first case over again. I'm not going to benefit either from or to my father, your father, if I do for you. So our Mishnah said Ereza Yofer. Rav Nosson Omer lo Yofer. Okay, so whatever we look in the Mishnah, Reza Yofer, and we'll say the reason is because it could come to Inu Nefesh. Rav Nosson seems to say that it's not necessarily going to come to Inu Nefesh or Dvarim shebeino lebeino. So Rav Nosson seems to argue on our Mishnah and says cannot be made. There's another case. Netula ani min haYehudim imisham shamashtech. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. That again, she made a neder which would make her usher to have relations with any Jew if she has relations with the husband. She didn't ask herself to have relations with the husband. She said, if I have relations with you, I'm usher from all the Jews. So it seems to be the same category as our Mishnah, that one thing is Inoi Nefesh, if she be usher to all the Jews, but it's only usher if she has relations. The husband will say, I'm not sure, unless they're trying to finish this, but the husband will say, so I have relations, and you'll be usher to all the Jews. Once again, it's a machlokus. The Chachamim say it could be mefer, because there's something which is relevant to the husband, even though the Tanai alone wouldn't have necessarily asked him. It could be that other issues over here that once she says I must have told the Jews, it might include the husband also. This is what the Rishonim talk about. But it seems to be a similar machlokus between the Chachamim and Rav Nosson if he could be made for such a kind of an eder. Yes, please.
Is it Inui Nefesh to her?
It's Inu Nefesh. The issue was never called Inu Nefesh. The question is, the terminology would be Dvarim shebeino lebeino. Does it affect him? It affects him.
Does it affect him?
So it affects him not to have relations with him. It doesn't affect him not to have relations with anybody else.
No, she said, if I have relations,
with you,
so let her have relations.
with him,
Yeah, but then
and then she'll be usher
And
to.
what's the problem?
Yeah,
So
what's the
that-
What's the
problem?
problem with him? That's my question.
So that would be Inu Nefesh to her. Is that would be Inu Nefesh?
But I'm saying that they say the Torah of Yehudim is only Tashmish.
Yes.
Right, I would say.
You said that it's not even that.
So it's
Not having tashmish is not called Inu
She's
Nefesh.
she's usher to everybody anyway.
But we did come to.
If he divorces her or dies, it's only going to be relevant if he divorces her or dies. So not having tashmish, we said it's not called Inu
That's
Nefesh.
when we say that when she says the Torah of Yehudim, it has to be Yofer.
Yes, he made it because it's not called the. And she is usher. And what do you learn from there? What do we learn from that Mishnah?
Because in a Baal, because the Baal is only made for Benish and Beno, and it's not made for Inu Nefesh.
It will be in the nefesh, then it will be off. When he's making it, be off everybody. Here, and that Mishnah says that he's not able. It's not called in the nefesh. It's only called Dvarim shebeino lebeino. So what's the case over here?
The husband dies, and then she will be asur, and they did have tishmish, and then she won't be able to have marry, won't have relations with another husband.
So is
It
there,
might- it
so
might
is
be
that,
that she's
so
not-
is that a reason why the husband So what's the machlokes if the husband could be made for or not?
Because she'll have, it would be not good for her. She'll.
So I've listened
have
just proved that it's not called in
Right,
nefesh.
but can I suggest that because she's marrying a new husband, this is what we're assuming, and then the new husband is gonna come in and says, what do you mean? You're not
She
gonna
won't be
sleep
able
with
to
me?"
have. She won't be able to
Exactly,
be
so the
married.
husband's gonna say, what kind of marriage is this?
So
I don't
we-
want you.
So we
I
said
don't
that
want
that's
somebody
not
that's
called.
specific.
We said that's not called in nefesh. That was.
That will become in nefesh, nothing.
I've been listening is proving that's not called in
No, that's only from the act itself, but to keep a marriage alive, it is in the nefesh for her.
That's
And when
not-
she'd have to
I've
divorce
listened
that.
proof was even from that case. He's talking about the same case until Anim and Ayudim over there. It says that he cannot be made for other people because it's not in the nefesh.
No, but a woman does want a relationship. We said that she wants a relationship, doesn't have to be sexual, but it has to be a real relationship.
Yeah, I'm
So
not
she
sure
wants
saying.
to
I've
get
been listening
married.
for a proof that until Anim and Ayudim is not called in the nefesh. These words, if we're proof that these words are not called in the nefesh, so you're arguing with the proof. You have to look at the proof that he brings. He's bringing a proof. Not
What's
saying
he
it's wrong.
saying? What did he say? What's the proof that he's saying exactly?
The end of the Masechta is going to say until Anim and Yehudim, he has the right to be made for what's negated to him. He doesn't have a right to be made for what's relevant to other people. That means that it's called Vam Shebino Levena. It's not called Inu Nefesh.
Hmm.
That's the mission. That's the Gemara. The Gemara said that. So how are we going to learn over here? She made a Tanai that if I have relations with you, I'm going to be Yasser to all the Jews. They do talk about over here that maybe here when she said all the Jews, it might include him also, which was a sugya we had before, is the husband called people and Jews in general. So if it would be Yasser to him, so then it does have ramifications. This would be called
He would not be able to remarry.
about would she be Yasser after she had relations one time? Is she going to be Yasser to him for the second time? If the
Oh, yeah.
even includes the husband also, the fact that it includes other people, that's not called in nefesh. Like I've listened through, but is it called the Vam Shebino Levena? Surely, if she's not going to be able to have relations with her husband, it does affect him. So that would be a case where there's one part of it is going to be the Vam Shebino Levena, and the Tanai is if she has relations. So I would think that for sure Yafar, because it's affecting him. What are his choices? Either he has relations one time or doesn't have relations at all. So Lachari should be able to be made for. I don't see yet what the Malchokis between Rab Meir, what Rab Nosson and the Chachamim is going to be. The Gemara is going to continue now with a whole new subject, which maybe the Gemara saw in these words. So far, the way we're trying to analyze it, it comes out that this is in the nefesh. If you say the Tulanim and Ayudim includes the husband, so if he has relations one time, she's going to be asked to have relations with him forever. That's only in the that's only Dvam Shabin Alavena. So he should be able to be made for. The Gemara is going to see a new thing that very, very fascinating. How the Gemara chose the way the Gemara is going to explain. The Brisa says a very specific case, and really it's a very general issue that's going to be going on. We're going to go into an issue now for the rest of the page and the next page. We didn't start today's daf yet. We're still on yesterday's daf. But the issue the Gemara is going to bring up is that can a husband be made for before the neder takes effect? It has nothing to do with this specific case. Anytime there's a neder with a tanai, could he be made for only after the neder takes effect? Or he can be made for even before the neder takes effect. There's a fancy case over here about a special tanai, but the Gemara is going to talk about it, any kind of a tanai. Any time that a woman makes an neder with a tanai, and it affects the husband in a way that he should be able to be made for, when is he allowed to be made for? Right away, even though the tanai didn't happen yet. So maybe it can't be made for until the neder takes effect. Or he could do that for her right away.
Didn't we
We
have
already
that
learned
already?
this.
What did we have?
But maybe Rabbi Akiva was one of them. I thought somebody said you go by the time that the neder was made.
That was in the 30-day case.
30-day case.
If that's
The other one
called,
said
if she's married or not. Well, over there we wanted to know, is it relevant to him? That right now that she was not married and she made a neder for when she's going to be married, or she's married and then they're not going to be married. Is that the same cases over here? That was yesterday's Gemara. Is that the similar over here? The other question is, can you do a farah before it takes effect? He's saying the 30-day case also didn't take effect yet.
Yeah.
Unless maybe it's called that it took effect for later, that the neder was chal for later. But here that
Oh, here
there's
it's
a
going to
tanai,
be something that didn't even take.
because the tanai didn't happen yet. So it's called that the neder didn't take effect. When the neder happens, when the tanai is fulfilled, so then the neder kicks in. So this is called that the neder didn't take effect yet.
Over there saying in 30 days, maybe the netter is already taking.
Maybe,
effect.
I'm just working it out together with you, I'm just
Okay.
trying to grope through.
Okay,
So this is gonna be, that the Gemara is gonna open up the sugi now. Whenever it would dream, why does it have to say such a particular case of a Tanai, if the machlokas of Rav Nosson and Rabbanan is really, if you could be mefer before the neder takes effect. And this is gonna be, it seems to be a regular Tanai, any kind of Tanai, the Gemara is gonna say, and since it didn't take effect, machlokas, if you could be mefer before the neder takes effect. Again, I might come back tomorrow with some better understanding. That's what the Gemara seems to do now. Here goes a story, and the Gemara is going to talk about this subject we just mentioned. Is it possible to be made for a neder before it takes effect? Who gavra the itzav anayasa the alma alei inasif itza kilo tanina hilchasa. A fascinating story alone. Even the case is a fascinating story. Someone he wanted to learn. Let's say hilchasa means mishnayos, or the whole this. He wanted to, he made a neder that he's not going to benefit from the whole world if he marries before he learned Mishnayos. He's not going to, he's also to have any benefit from anybody in the world if he marries before he learns Hilchasa, call it Mishnayos. He's going to learn Shisa Siddur and Mishnah and then get married.
Or
If he gets
it
married,
can be either specific or general.
one,
Hilchasa can be either specific, like a certain masecta, or it can be.
it could be, I don't know.
Shas or whatever.
Whatever you're gonna say. It's something big. It was something big, and he wanted to make sure he does it before he gets married. If he says, if I get married before I do that, so then I must have to have enough from anything.
If I get married before that.
If I get married before I learn, let's say we'll do not that line, before I learn Shas or before I learn Shisa Siddur Mishnah,
I'm not getting married.
I'm not getting married. If I do get married before that, that was the Tanai. The Tanai is if I learn the Shas before. If I don't learn the Shas before, if that condition is fulfilled, that I didn't learn the Shas before I get married, so then I'm mastering all benefit of the world upon myself.
Including his wife, the new wife.
Yeah, also.
So then
It's also. And not only that, anything, he also can't do anything. He can't eat also. He can't eat.
Bottle maker.
Why not? Why?
Is good. He's causing her grief.
He's not married yet.
No, the day he gets married, he's causing her grief.
That is called Ina Nefesh.
Yeah,
It's
for
not.
sure.
It's not Ina Nefesh. It's Ina Nefesh is about her. This has nothing to do with Hafara. He made the neder. He made the neder. You can talk about if he's obligated to her, whatever.
Okay, so.
So you say whatever he's obligated. You might say whatever he's obligated for, the neder doesn't take place for. But everything else, he can't eat. The man can't eat.
Die.
So he's gonna die. So that's the issue. So there's no heter of Ina Nefesh. So that's the decision. Now he tried very hard to finish the Shas. Rahit means he ran. Gapo v'tuvlaya is a question what it means, and he wasn't available to learn. So the two pshatim over here, one is that he tried with all his might to learn, but it didn't go. He wasn't able to. He was trying. It wasn't going. The other pshat is that he was busy working. He had to work. He had to make parnasa, and he was working so hard. He didn't have time to learn. So he was getting older and older. He wasn't able to get married because he didn't learn the Shas. What does Gapo v'tuvlaya mean? Here somebody says Maklo v'tomirlo. The Ran says his stick and his sack. And others say something else about what else does it say here about Kalim shemachlisin ben peros. Some kind of things that are used in order to harvest. He was busy working and he wasn't able to learn. So the guy was stuck. He wasn't getting married because he made such a neder. So Rav Huna wanted to help him out. What I'm learning now, what we did so far, it took a long time for me, and I'm just ran through the Gemara to just get some general idea. Maybe be corrections tomorrow, or if anybody has any questions now, feel free. I'm just trying to get simple shot. So Rav Huna wanted to help him out. Also, he tricked him and he got him married. It means he tricked him by saying whatever he told him some story that he should think that the neder wasn't taken, it's not a problem, and you can get married. And he got married. Why did he do that? Why did he get him married? Why wasn't he matan neder for him? Because he wasn't able to be matan neder before the neder takes effect. We're going into the subject we just spoke about. That he held that he wants to matan neder for him. of course, the Matan is very easy. If you would have known that you're not going to be able to get married because you're not able to learn, would you have made the nether? And it'll say no, and it'll be Matan nether. So why not do that and then marry him?
Right.
Because he held that you can't be Matan nether until it takes effect. So how do you have to do it take effect? You have to get married, and now the Isser is Chal.
And now,
And now we'll be Matan nether.
Now you can watch.
But he had to trick him into marrying first, because he held that Rav Nosson is the mandama that says you can't be mefer until it takes effect. Then they wanted to go to be Matan nether. Rav Acha bar Rav Huna, he was the one who arranged this. He made the trick in order to get him married, and now we have to be Matan nether.
And that's not in there, the matcha.
Right. That now it goes.
We
Now
assume
continue.
that.
Now continue. Now that Sadi it continues. V'sharke tina v'aseh v'kam v'dirafista. So sharke tina means that he means he smeared on him mud, and he brought him to Rav Chisda. He wanted Rav Chisda to be Matan nether. Why did he smear him with mud? So a bunch of pshatim over here. Everybody says different pshat. Why he smeared him with mud?
He didn't matcha netter yet.
He took him to Rav Chisda to be Matan nether.
Okay, the way you were saying it, in other words, it didn't happen, Rabbi.
Right. But now he brought him to Rav Chisda for this purpose.
Okay.
And the story, why Sharki Tina? So one simple pshat is he made him dirty, to emphasize the fact that this man needs help. He needs help to wash and this, and he's also him to benefit. Can't get water.
Why
Can't
do you have
use
to make
water.
it so drastic? Everyone knows that people have to benefit from people.
Yeah.
Rabbi,
Okay. So they have to shut them also.
He's not allowed to have any hano at this point. He might feel good if he didn't have. He's just he's now in the gather of sort from all hano.
Right.
So you make him schmutzed out that he has no hano. He's feeling like it's dread,
Okay.
and especially just come out of a
Because if he wouldn't be smeared with mud, so then he would be benefiting from things. This is taking away all the benefit from things. Some say that he was embarrassed from Rav Chisda, so he either disguised himself, we put mud on his goodness, he shouldn't know who he was. Other pshatim also.
Okay.
So Rabbi was very impressed with Rav Huna, Rav Acha bar Rav Huna. He heard the story that he didn't Matan nether before because he held that it had to take effect. Who would have been so smart to do like this if it wouldn't be a Rav Acha bar Rav Huna? He's a big man, Talmid Chacham, and even though Rav Nosson is the only one who said that it has to be chal before you Matan nether, but he's saying that this is even according to Rabbanan. It means he wouldn't have been machmir for Rav Nosson alone. If it would be the way we learned until now, it's machmir Rav Nosson and Rabbanan. Rav Nosson knows you can't be Matan nether until it mefer nether, until it takes effect. And Rabbanan said it's not a problem. Yafa, you could be mefer. So the reason why Rav Acha bar Huna was machmir is because he said that Rabbanan also agree in this case. You can't be Matan nether until it takes effect.
Why this case?
The pligi Rabbanan. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I take it back. I said the wrong way. Delete the last part. It's 30 seconds. The kasava, the chihechi, the pligi Rabbanan, Rav Nosson b'afara, achinami pligi b'sheva. I said a mistake. Not that he wanted to do it even according to Rabbanan. That's Rav Nosson. He's going like Rav Nosson. I made a mistake. He's going according to Rav Nosson. And he held that just like Rav Nosson and Rabbanan say by a far the machlokes, that Rav Nosson holds by a far, you can't be mefer. The husband can't be mefer before it takes effect. So too, a chacham can't be Matan nether also before it takes effect. Achinami pligi b'sheva. The same way they argue by a Torah, they also argue by Sheva. And Rav Nosson who says that you can't be mefer before it takes effect, he also can't be matir before it takes effect. And therefore, the case here, he wants to be Matan nether, he couldn't do it until it takes effect. That's why he told him to get married. That was who? Rabbi said that Rabbi was happy with Rav Acha bar Rav Huna. But Rav Papi Oma, machlokes b'afora. Rav Nosson savar ein aval mefer, elam kein chol neder, tichsiv, b'chafra alavana. Rav Nosson savi, Pal mefer apal pisha lo chol neder, tichsiv, mefer machshavos avomim. Aval b'shev l'div Yaakov, ein chacham mati klum, elam kein chol neder. Tichsiv, lo yachel devaro. I'm sorry? No? Here it says that he's more. This is what I started saying. I forgot that this is a later Gemara. Rav Papi says that everybody would agree here that he had to do it, not only Rav Nosson. The first one says that the reason why he did it is because of Rav Nosson. Rav Nosson knows you can't be made for it before it takes effect. So you can't be matir before it takes effect either. But the Chacham would have argued. The Chacham would have said you could be made for it before and you could be matir before also. You didn't have to get married. You could have matir the first. But Rav Papi says no. Everybody would agree by a Torah Nedarim, the Chacham cannot be matir until it takes effect. And therefore, he had to do it according to everybody, not only according to everyone else. He had to do it according to everybody. They have psukim over here, and it explains the psukim is going to explain how come there's a machlokes by a Torah, and how come everybody holds by a Torah not. So I didn't get the pshat yet what the psukim are all about. Chafra Lavana, there's a different case here also. What do you see in this passage of Chafra Lavana? There's a difficulty in this passage. Chafra Lavana means that the moon is going to be humiliated. What does it have to do with our drasha about being made for another only if it took effect? So we need a pshat over there. And the Rabbanan argue and say that a husband could be made for even though it didn't take effect because it says made for machshavos harumin. He is Hashem nullifies the plans of the cunning. How do you see over there that he could? I guess it has to do with the word afara, and machshavos means even the plans even before it takes effect. I don't know the pshat in the Chafra Lavana. I have to figure that out, or if the city be shown.
Chafra means what? Chafra means what?
Literally, chafra means to be like a cherpa. It's going to be. The Gemara is going to say there's going to be a drash on it, or a different word, or a different pasuk altogether. But b'sheila, everybody holds that the chacham only could be matir if it took effect, because it says lo yachel devaro, which means only after it's been taken effect. Somehow, how do you see that? Lo yachel devaro, only if it's been taken effect. I'm not sure. The drashas I don't get yet. So what do we have? That by a forest of Nedarim is machlokes if you could be made for before it took effect. By a Torah's Nedarim, some say it's the same machlokes. Rabba said that it's the same machlokes, and Rav Hanas knows you can't. Also by a Torah you can't, and Rabbanan holds you could. Also by a Torah you could. And Rabbi says even the Rabbanan also agree by a Torah you cannot. Everybody will hold that you cannot be marked neder until it takes effect. The Gemara continues to try to bring a proof to this. Let's bring a proof. Let's bring a proof that everybody will hold that you cannot be mataned until it takes effect. It says a brisa. I'm asking myself to benefit from ploni, and also if I'm going to be mataned, then I'm asking also the one that I'm mataned from. The Chacham, who's going to be helping me to be Mataneder, he wanted to block his possibility of being Mataneder. If I'm Mataneder, so then I'm going to ask the Chacham to be Neder from him. That was this guy's Neder. He said, I'm answering, what is that? I'm answering myself to be Neder from Saploni, and if I'm going to be Mataneder, on the Neder that I just said, then I'm going to become Aser to benefit from the Chacham who's going to be Matar from me. So he could be Nishal, he could be Matar both in Doran. Nishal ala Rishal, Nishal ala Sheni. So he could be Matar Neder both. He can be Matar Neder, and then the Chacham becomes Aser, and then he can Matar Neder on the Chacham, and that Neder. That's the brisa.
Only if he wants to mevatel.
Yeah, for sure. If he wants that way, if he wants the mother, he may be Matar Neder on both of them. But it says first the first, and then the second. But if you say that you could be Matar Neder even before it takes effect, so why does he have to first be Matar Neder from the first one, and then the second one, and then the Chacham becomes Aser, and then he's Matar Neder on the Chacham? He could have been Matar Neder on the Chacham even before it happens, even though he said, if this and this happens, I'm going to become Aser, and it didn't happen yet. If I'm Matar Neder, I'm going to Aser the Chacham who's Matar me. He could be Matar Neder even before it happens. If you hold that for Torah's Nedarim, it doesn't have to have taken effect, so he could have been Matar Neder on the Chacham even before he was Matar Neder. But the Gemara says, who says that's what it means? It doesn't say anything. The Gemara challenges the proof. The Gemara wants to make a proof from here that everybody holds that you have to be Chal in order to be Matar Neder. But the Gemara says no, it's not a proof. So the words are a little difficult, but the Mepharshim say it means who says that the Brisa says Dafka Rishon when it says he should be Matar Neder on the first one, then on the second one. It doesn't have to mean Dafka the first one and the second one literally, that it means the one he made the Neder from, and the second one is the Chacham. It means one and then the other.
Which is Chal first.
It could mean that, but the word Matar that it doesn't have to mean that. It could mean one of them, and Sheni means the second one, the other one and then the other. It doesn't have to mean the order. That's what the Gemara says. Who says who's the first and who's the second? Who told you? Who told you what the first and second means? Maybe first means the first one that he chooses, and the second one the other one. So the Gemara doesn't have a proof from that. So we try another proof. From the following brisa. And a rainy nazir l'kisha esh Allah. He made a neder. I'm not going to be benefit from somebody, And if I am going to be matan neder from that person, I'm hereby a nazir. He wanted to block the possibility to be matan neder. He said, if I'm matan neder, so then I'm going to be a nazir. So he could be matan neder both of them. But again, but here's going to say which one to do first. Nishal al nidro, brachach nishal al nidro. So he can be matan neder, and then it becomes a nazir, and then be matan in the zeros. But if you say that you can be matan neder even before it took effect, so why do it in that order? You could be matan in the zeros first. Here it does say which one is first. Here it says neder, then nazir. So it says you have to do first then one, and then it's take effect. Then, but if you hold that you can be matan neder on the neder, even though it wasn't chal, so you could have been matan the zeros before it was chal. So you don't have a right that everybody agrees to this, but the more is matcha, Reb Nosson, you don't see that it's everybody. Maybe it's only Reb Nosson, because we said right away, Reb Nosson holds by a Torah also. So a Torah, he also has to be chal. But we wanted to know according to Rabbanan. The Rabbanan who say that a Torah doesn't have to be chal, you could be made for neder even though it wasn't chal. What does he hold about a Torah? So you can't bring the right from this Bryce. It's true. The Bryce says, like you said, that he has to be chal before he could be matan neder. But maybe Reb Nosson is the author of this Bryce. So you don't see that Rabbanan also would agree. So what do we have so far? Machlokas Reb Nosson and Rabbanan, if you can be made for a neder before it takes effect. And the question was if the Rabbanan will agree by a Torah's Nedarim. And the Gemara said so, that Rabbi Yema, I think, he said that it has to, Papi said, that it has to be chal according to everybody before it can be matan neder. Now it goes the opposite Gemara, 4 lines from the bottom. Amar Ravina, Amali Mirema, this is Mirema, is the opposite of Papi. Hachi Amar Avuch Mishmei de Papi, a different version of Papi. The opposite. Machlokes Ba'afara, Aval B'Sheila de V'Yakol Nefer Afishalo Chol Neder. It's the opposite direction. That here he's going to say that by a Torah Sodom, everybody, even Reb Nosson, is going to be makel and say it could be matir neder before it takes effect. And the whole story about the chassan over there that couldn't get married, you could have called everybody. You could have been matir neder before. You didn't have to do the whole trick of tricking him into getting married. And here's the drush the opposite way. I didn't see what the drush is the opposite way to say that it doesn't have to take effect. And the Gemara has the problem. And the main word, the law of the neder. You can, right? And you that you could be matan neder, and even though it was not chal, you can't do it by yourself. But the acher that they can do it even if it's only a dibor, then that take effect. And now the rest of the Gemara is easy. It's the same two kashas again. Before we had two proofs, and now the Gemara is going to have the same thing turned into a kasha. You said that everybody holds that you could be mater neder even before it took effect. Same price as before. I make a neder not going to be that benefit from somebody, and to the one who's going to be matan neder. So nishal alav first the Gemara takes it literally. That means the first neder first, second neder second, after it took effect. How come you have to do it in that order? You could do it in the one that was not chal yet. So again, the Gemara says the same teretz. That's what it means. Who told you what first and second means? Who told you what the first and second means? Maybe it means the second and the first. He just calls it do one first and then do the other one. So it's not a kasha. But now this kasha is going to be a kasha. I make a neder, I'm not going to be benefit for somebody. And if I do, if I'm going to be matan neder, I should become a nazir. Nishal al nidro, brachach nishal al nizro. He has to do the first to be matan neder, and then he becomes a nazir, and then he's matan al naziros. But if you hold the could be matan neder even before it had effect, then he'll be matan the naziros right away. And here somebody's talking. Before the Gemara said maybe it's Reb Nosson, but you said that even Reb Nosson holds. Now the Gemara is going that everybody holds you can be matan neder before it took effect. Here someone says you can. You have to so you see that it's wrong. That Reb Nosson at least holds that you cannot be made matir neder before it takes effect. To sum it up, we wouldn't have seen anything in the Mishnah or the Brisa that the issue is about being matir neder before it takes effect. We just saw a question: is it called Idin Nefesh? Is it called the there's a condition over there. But besides that, another issue came in about being matir made for a neder before it took effect. And the maskana comes out by being made for neder, everybody holds that by making made for neder, this is machlokes of Nosson and Rabbanan. Reb Nosson holds you can't be made for neder before it takes effect. And if there's a Tanai, you have to let the Tanai play itself out, and then the neder takes effect, then you can be made for. And by HaTorah is a machlokes into the in machlokes if it's the machlokes in the Gemara, if it's the same machlokes, that Rav Nosson will say you can't, Rav Nosson will say that you could, or everybody will agree that you cannot. At the end, the Gemara says maybe everybody holds you can. That the Gemara is locked up. That's definitely not true. That Rav Nosson, who says you cannot be made for before it takes effect, surely holds you cannot be matir before it takes effect. But the Gemara did have a question. What your Rabbanan hold? Do the Rabbanan say that just like you can be made for, also you can be matir, or the Rabbanan also agree that you cannot be matir? And in Allah it says you cannot be matir until it takes effect. By Mayfair you could, like the Chachamim say, and by Thursday you cannot. Like the Gemara first said that they agree to Rav Nosson that you cannot be matir before it takes effect. Okay, maybe better tomorrow will be better.
That was great.
Yeah.
But it comes out very interesting what Levi Yaakov pointed out, that the Gemara about the 30 days, that's called that it did take effect. And it comes out anytime there's a Tanai, you can't be mounted in it until the Tanai takes effect. That's what our Gemara is saying. And the case of the 30 days.
This kasha is very difficult to say over there. If I get divorced.
If I get,
When I get married.
when I get married, when I get divorced, so it's taking effect then. So why is that not the same thing as by us? Saying you can't be mounted. You can't be matir on Mayfair. You can't be made for according to Rav Nosson until it takes effect.
This whole subject could have been on that.
No fancy case. And what does it say that Rav Nosson holds you can't? Rav Nosson say you can. So according to Rav Nosson, it's okay. According to Rav Nosson, you couldn't. But according to Rav Nosson, you can. So that's also we should have spoken about it also. Thank you.
You have a question?
Okay.